Money Vikings, thanks a lot for joining me. I want to go through a very critical and important topic today with you about 5 ways to handle setbacks financially. Basically, 5 ways to get back on track financially. And the reason I want to talk about this is that I think it's very of the moment. It's a very ironic and strange environment out there for people that are trying to be good with their personal finance and trying to build wealth over time. On one hand, you have what's being talked about in terms of the macro numbers and the GDP and all this sort of context of like a soft landing, and unemployment is low and inflation is maybe coming down and all these types of things. But most people have seen quite a shock to their personal finances over the last year and a half since the end of the pandemic. And so a lot of people are, in a lot of ways, licking their wounds and trying to get back on track financially. And so I want to talk about that. And even if you're not, this happens in the course of a true wealth journey. It happens that it's not a success only journey. We all know that life is not a success only journey. There's times when life throws us curveballs, and we have to learn how to recover from them and hopefully become stronger. And that's the concept. Ray Dalio talks a lot about that. He talks a lot about the importance of failure in life, but what happens next is most critical. It's not the failure itself, because the failure is going to happen. If you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to improve, you're going to have setbacks and failures. It's basically the human condition. It's very rare if someone just has a success only trajectory in all aspects of life. Typically, if we're trying to keep life moving forward and evolving and growing in different aspects, let's say health, finances, building wealth, relationships, we're going to have occasional setbacks. It's just part of the journey. But what is important is how we fail, right? So we fail, we get it. Are we learning from the failure? Are we repeating the same mistakes? And then not only are we learning, are we implementing thoughts and methods and systems and automation that can help us avoid that same failure and make us reach new trajectories and new heights? So I want to talk about a few ways that I'm using to get back on track financially. So, full confession of a personal finance blogger for many years and a quote unquote wealth builder for many years, an investor. I was not always the best about budgeting. And so I have committed myself to proper budgeting. And I believe that is absolutely step one, because you have to have a broad understanding of the landscape you're dealing with. A lot of finances can be death by a thousand cuts, and you really don't realize the little things that are adding up. They can be overwhelming, but also to assess your priorities in terms of the big things. That's the other key aspect. So I have built and listen, I've talked about it on the blog for many years, and I've talked about it on the channel. I'm a big fan of simple budgets. So don't be overwhelmed by the concept of budget like I was for many years. I would be envious of people that had very complicated spreadsheets and budgets, but it really doesn't have to be like that. It does not have to be a complicated Excel spreadsheet. Excel is a really amazing tool and program. And if you're good at it, good on you. That's really going to help you thrive. But not everybody's good at Excel. And so I'm a huge fan of a simple piece of paper, and it can be a Word document or it can just be a piece of paper and a pencil. But the most important thing to do is to write down every single expense, or at least the big ones. And I start with big and go to small, because that's what's going to make the biggest difference, right? So the first one on there is typically the mortgage or the rent. Then you have the car payment. Then you have the utilities. Then, you have probably food. Food is probably pretty high up there. Then you have clothing, luxury things like, entertainment things, entertainment services. Do you have cable? Do you have Netflix? Do you have this, that? All those little subscriptions that are adding up. Are you adding in a column for maintenance if you own a home? Are you adding in a column for maintenance on a monthly basis for your car? Even though you may not have a monthly maintenance problem on your car, you should probably put a token number in there based on what you spend a year. If you spend $500 a year on maintenance, you should probably put, you know, 30, 40 bucks a month, 50 bucks a month on your line item, on your budget for maintenance every year. So that's the first thing, is you add up all the expenses. And then in the other column, you're going to add up all your income. You know, do you have dividend income? Do you have a W-2 income from a job typically? Do you have rental income from any properties or a business income? So you're going to get all your income on there. Now, what you don't want to see is a negative every month, because then you're just basically treading water and you're going backwards. You're getting into a hole, right? So you got to make sure those things are at least balanced. And then the ideal is to create some room so that you can invest a chunk of it. So that's number one, to get yourself back on track financially. Create a simple budget. So I'm going to keep harping on it because I believe in it so much, and I did it, and it was eye-opening, and it was very helpful. Okay. So the second thing I'd say, and I'm gonna go more than 5 here, but let's just do the second thing. Second thing I'd talk about after you have the budget is identify areas that are problem areas or areas that could be reduced or go away. You know, I'll give an example. As we know, a lot of folks that watch this channel, you know, I was big into box openings for Magic. Well, when I was having, you know, more of a tighter budget, I realized that I need to skip away from boxes, and I now do packs, right? So right away, that was a reduction in cost. What I would have been maybe $200, $300, $400 is now $20, okay? It scratches the itch, but I'm not spending as much. So maybe there's a way in your budget, you know, maybe if you were spending $200 a month or $400 a month on clothing, is there a way to get that to $100 a month? And maybe shop at secondhand stores or thrift stores and save some money that way. Or just go out when you can find a really good sale. You know, there's just ways to do that. So that's number 2, is identify the problem areas. Okay. The third thing I'll mention is attacking non-essentials. So, you know, there's things that are going to be kind of fixed and hard to change in the short run. All right. The mortgage or the rental payment, yeah, maybe you can refinance, maybe you can downsize to a smaller place, maybe you can rent a cheaper place, but that is actually pretty hard, and especially in this environment, to change anytime soon. So it takes time to do that. So what I would do is attack the non-essentials that you have control of, and that's how I go back to my Magic example, right? That's a non-essential that I have full control over, and I had to realize that. Okay. So the next thing I'll talk about is paying off high interest debt. So do everything you can every month. When you got the money that comes in, try to attack. If you got a credit card that's charging you 20, 25, 30%, really let that sink in for a minute. Think about how damaging that is to your wealth building. So you bought something, right? And you racked up credit card debt. Everything you bought is now costing you 25, 30% more. Would you ever walk into the store and say, oh gosh, there's no sales today, and look, this item is typically $100. I sure can't wait to pay $130 for it. Or how about it compounds and a year goes by? Gosh, I can't wait to pay $150 for it. Think about that concept in your mind when you're trying to get that debt destroyed, and attack the high interest first. You got to get that gone, okay? So there you go. That's that one. The next thing I will say, number 5, is focus on an emergency fund of some kind. Have some separate account, savings account, whatever it is, part of your bank. Get 50, 100, whatever it might be per month. Get it into there and get it out of your sight, because you know the inevitable stuff is going to happen again. There's going to be something on the car that's going to break. There's going to be something on the house that needs to be done. Your children are going to need something that you didn't plan for, whatever it might be. Have that set aside, then you don't have to dip into the credit cards, and it keeps you out of that cycle. I realize getting out of it is hard. So I'll leave you with a couple other thoughts. Give yourself a break. Be good to yourself, okay? This isn't entirely, it's your responsibility, but sometimes it's not entirely your fault. We are in an environment, and we're doing the best we can. And, you know, a lot of us, we are doing the best we can in our jobs, doing the best we can to make money. We can't help that inflation has gone up so much. And a lot of us too make spending decisions based on emotions, based on our past relationship with money, something maybe for our children, and we're doing some things impulsively. So just be good to yourself. Take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. You can get out of this. You can make a difference and you can change the trajectory. That's the key thing. Stop the bleeding, stop the damage, and then change the trajectory you're on. And the final thing I'll leave you with, when dealing with getting yourself out of a financial hole, I think it's critical every single day to focus on gratitude. So, yeah, you might be in a financial hole, but a lot of times we spend money because we feel we need something or we're trying to fill something or whatever it may be. But sometimes we need to stop and look around our room, look around our house, whatever it might be, look at our friends, count your blessings, count the things you have. Maybe you have good health at the moment. Maybe you have a close friend who means a lot to you right now. Maybe you're into a new hobby that means a lot to you. Maybe you can just appreciate the comics and the cards you already have instead of looking at what you don't have. So have gratitude for what you have. I mean, I'm getting out my old Halloween ones because we're getting ready for Halloween season. So I got Sabrina and I got giant-sized Chiller's Daughter of Dracula, right? There you go. But you guys get the idea. The point is to have gratitude for what you already have. It's the key to happiness and success. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, share the channel, and I will see you all on the next one.